Members of parliament have gone bananas on President Ruto for labeling them the house of disgrace.
This president gave us a finance bill that was very unpopular. We passed it for him. This president gave us a housing levy. Very unpopular. We passed it for him. This president has asked us to pass SHA. We sat here until 10 p.m. Passed it for him. What have we done for him? What has this parliament not done for president that he now has to come and...
It is sad coming from this member of parliament, because parliament is supposed to provide balance against presidential powers. But here he's telling us that they passed the bill, so meaning without exercising their independence. And here, from the look of things, this member of parliament wants a situation where we have quid pro quo, you know, that they give the president something and the president also gives them something. But wait a minute, parliament was terribly on fire. But why? Here's the context. President Ruto said that members of parliament asked for bribes to pass bills, and one of the bills was the anti-money laundering bill, where members of parliament received 10 million Kenyan shillings to pass that bill. And also, while in Homa Bay during a devolution conference, President Ruto called out members of parliament, said it is not going to be business as usual because members of parliament are corrupt. So what you hear right now is actually reactionary from members of parliament.
A few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering. Did you get the money? So
he mentioned this during ODM Kenya Kwanza PG meeting.
There is something going on in our legislature that we must call out. There is money being demanded from the executive, from governors, from ministers, from people in the executive, especially those who go for accountability before our houses of parliament. Mr. Speaker, it cannot continue to be business as usual.
These two tough statements have angered members of parliament, and that's why they're going ballistic.
Speaker, first of all, let it be clear, I am a member of the committee. I have never sought or received any gain or advantage to support or oppose anything, except as by law and my conscience and my constituents. Mr. Speaker, the simple sequence of that long statement read by my chair is that this was a government bill sponsored by the executive office of the president. And we were told that we needed to pass it to remove Kenya from the grey list. In compliance, and it was signed off by the leader of majority, we complied, it came here, it passed. Where is our fault? Should we have rejected it? Because if we did, then you can blame us. Mr. Speaker, if that passage of the act and the amendment was procured by any corruption, then that corruption can only come from the executive office of the president. Because they are the ones who wanted it to pass. And if that is so, then three things follow. One, that either the president or someone in his office knows who gave the bribe. Two, the president or someone in his office knows who received that bribe. And three, they know why it was given, because obviously it could not have been for passage. It's even more annoying that it is alleged that some 10 million was given. Do you know 10 million to give the members, that's 28,000. So it's being alleged that members of this house are cheap as 28,000 to pass a law. It's even more annoying. Mr. Speaker, some of us have reputations and careers beyond this house. So when you attend a forum where for the first time in a PG, live TV has been invited, and then you are being accused of that kind of thing, it is so insulting, it is so demeaning, it is so unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that even if there was such a supposition by the president, Standing Order 42 gives him the opportunity to write to you a special message, which then you can table and we can inquire into it, not to be paraded and demeaning as if we are criminals. Now, the way forward, Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that our only way forward You see, in this house, we cannot discuss people adversely because Standing Order 83 all the way to 107 restrict our discussion. But for us, unfortunately, no one protects us out there. All sorts of allegations are made against you and you must just sit and listen. Our only ventilation is Standing Order 191. I want to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that under Standing Order 191, where we have our Powers and Privileges Committee, the Powers and Privileges Committee, 191(1)(a), is allowed to summon any person to appear before it for the purposes of giving evidence or providing information. This house has been called the house of extortion. This house has been called a corrupt house. This house has been alleged to have received some 10 million. My suggestion, Mr. Speaker, authorize the Powers and Privileges Committee to summon the President, or if not the President, then the head of public service and the secretary to the cabinet to come and tell us about these allegations, because we don't know how to protect ourselves out there. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
It is getting hotter here, but will President Ruto comply with the summons from members of parliament? That's the biggest challenge. President Ruto knows how parliament operates, so he must be privy to who received the money, and it will make sense to have him summoned so that he responds to those allegations that he raised. However, some members of parliament feel that corruption emerges from the executive. Just listen into this member of parliament.
Coming specifically to the issues the president is raising, I have two perspectives to this. First of all, I don't think we should be going into what I would call a blanket condemnation. We cannot throw the baby with the bathwater. I know there are good legislators who work very hard. There are good senators who work very hard for their people. I personally believe in leadership, integrity. I work to the best of my knowledge for the people of Tetu. But we also know, just like the fabric of the country, there are rotten apples in every sphere of this country. But the second perspective, Sam, about this is, I don't know whether the people talking about corruption in that clip are necessarily qualified to talk about corruption.
What do you mean with that?
And Sam, we possibly need to have a whole show dedicated to discussing who can authoritatively talk about corruption in this country and who cannot. That one requires a separate show. So allow me not to.
You know what you're saying can have two meanings, yeah?
Yeah.
That one can speak as a point of authority, or one can speak from a point of
morality. I would probably go for the second one, a point of morality. And we don't want to have a situation whereby, is the kettle calling is the pot calling the kettle black?
What are you saying?
Sam, as much as we have challenges in parliament, we have bigger challenges in the executive.
I think President Ruto is on the right track by raising this issue and telling members of parliament, you need to do something. Even if members of parliament are bitter, going ballistic on President Ruto, at least we are able to discuss corruption and perhaps find a way to ramp up the graft purge. But listening to this member of parliament, Mr. Mbui, on how parliament or members of parliament pass bills.
There are two ways by which members are coerced. One is through intimidation, and I do believe that there is definitely money that changes hands to influence decisions that are done on the floor of the House. And somehow say this.
Even if members of parliament are bitter, but this remains to be one of the most important conversations in this country, because the executive is discussing corruption. Members of parliament are also bitter because they have been accused of corruption. So that means we are now in a position where we can talk boldly about corruption. But here again is the bottom line. Members of parliament have three major roles. One is to pass laws. Two, to provide oversight. Three, to represent people. And also, their bitterness could be emerging from the fact that Raila Amolo Odinga said that members of parliament should not manage the CDF kitty. And that is the bone of contention here. Let's wait and see how this will pan out. But the bottom line again is members of parliament should know their roles, and let's ramp up the fight against corruption. If that is done, then this country will be on a better trajectory to revive its economy and at least create jobs for the young people who are today telling the president to shape up or ship out, especially in 2027. This is Owen Analysis.